Hello guys, it's Christian from Emotions UI. I'm back after a couple of weeks of rest. So we start one of the topics that I mentioned some time ago, lesser known Italian regions. But the focus of today is not the fact that it's lesser known. By the way, if you want to see that video a few weeks before, the link is below in the description where I spoke about several emerging and lesser known regions in Italy. Today the focus is, as per thumbnail, is it the Alto Adige the real competitor of Burgundy? So we will discover it today and in the next episode. I will do two. So today is Chardonnay and next will be Pinot Noirs. So really comparison to Burgundy. Alto Adige is a very important region in Italy, even if the production is very tiny. I think about 1 or 2% of the total, but only high quality. Almost all is DOC wine. So they are the German-speaking part of Italy. Alto Adige is Südtirol called in German, bordering Austria, so northeast, but easily in the middle of the north of Verona. Is underestimated, as I mentioned in the video, for several reasons, but today we will focus on the other aspects. So mountainous region, the valleys, the Adige River is the main, so it's warm in summer in the day because of the valleys, but it's very cool in the night. Mountains around, cooler winds, so it's a lot of excursions, so good for acidity, for the aromas and flavors. So elegant wines overall, all rocky places, but with many differences. I said also that the main is limestone, dolomite, but of course there are many variations. So besides the expositions, the altitudes, they vary a lot. It can go up to about 1,000 meters in many areas, but also the soils vary. Also the surface, sandy or clay and so on. So today we will have two Chardonnay to start from two different parts, similar altitude, but the rest is all different. Now I make it also a bit similar, but different, and two expressive wineries of the reality of Alto Adige. So one cooperative and one medium small organic family estate. This is Haderburg, organic. Chardonnay, Vigna Hausmannhof, so the name of the vineyard, which is nearby the winery, 13 alcohol, 23 vintage. Cantina di Terlano, one of the most famous, probably the symbol of the white wine cooperatives. Kreuth Chardonnay, 23, 13.5 alcohol. So it's an horizontal today, really to compare. They are very famous, Terlano. This is the second level, Kreuth, so it's a German name, is this oaked one, not the basic, and both are partially oaked. So Alto Adige has long history before Roman days. There are several local varieties, but in the last 150 years, international grapes took the predominance. We don't know why. And they are very famous nowadays: Pinot Blanc, Pinot Grigio, Pinot Gris, Chardonnay, Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, Cabernet Merlot. Because even if you think about mountainous, cooler, of course whites are the predominant, there is the biggest percentage, but there are some areas, especially in the low parts of the hills, so almost in the valleys, where reds can do well, warmer and also more exposed to the sun, etc. So the point is to have the grapes in the right location. So even in a smaller region like this, with a small production on the national level, you still can have many differences. But we focus on the Burgundy concept. So why it is similar? So as said, limestone and dolomite are the main rocks, but you can have a lot of variations. There is near Bolzano, the town, an area where is volcanic porphyry, so it's volcanic, but the magma underground solidified, so it's not explosive volcano. And there is in the northern valley some different slates, more mineral. So we have still different rock compositions, surface difference. So topsoil can be sandy, clay, or pebbles, rocky, especially near the mountains where there is the weathering of rocks and topsoil. So there are many variations besides the altitudes, exposition, etc. So all contributing to make it very interesting, elegant wines, of course, and particular also in the Italian landscape of wine. So I open the bottles a while, I pour both. They are not important wines, we can say Bourgogne Blanc level, let's say, but they still prefer a bit of air. Colors, even being 23, so still current vintage, are already quite golden. More on the Haderburg, a bit less on Terlano. There is a bit of greenish rim still, but anyway turning a bit on golden because the yellow is already quite intense. They are both made similarly, but I will talk separately. So let's start from Haderburg. Medium small, below 100,000 bottles. They have mostly, so they are in Pochi di Salorno, so near Mazzon. This is really at the beginning of Alto Adige, bordering Trentino, that is the other province of the region. Southwest facing, so it's the slope on the side of the river, and it's the first commune. There are 2-3 there where it's very famous, and it's called in particular the Burgundy of Italy, because Chardonnay, Pinot Noir there are the main. There is really mostly limestone dolomite, but topsoil vary, and even the rocky composition a bit, depending on the village. Most of the vineyards are 300-400 meters. In this case, they are 400, and all these vineyards are around the cellar, and they have clay on topsoil, so not sandy like in another part, so a bit more structured with the clay. So you already understand from the first info that it's very similar soil, exposition, altitude not really, because Burgundy is a bit lower than only the hot coat are about 300-400 meters. Usually most of the vineyards are about 200. So, but of course Burgundy is also a bit more north. Alto Adige is slightly more south, so the latitude also has an influence. And then, as I said, of course, is warmer there daytime, so they need a bit to be at higher altitudes in general to have a bit cooler. So this, as I said, is considered the most similar area to Alto Adige. Let's see how is the wine. So as I said, they do half inox, half oak. Is Parecto, they don't give info. I know them, but they don't give info about used or not used and where are from the oaks. They are famous for being the first winery in Alto Adige to make traditional methods, so champenoise wines. I think they started with that, and then with the wines. This is the Chardonnay flagship. So it's about 10 months staying on the fine leaves. It's organic, so natural, slow fermentation, and then they blend together and they bottle. So they release later on. That is also good. But of course, being oaky wines, they are still a bit young. But unfortunately, this is the only availability on market now. So I opened and I just checked that they were fine. Now it's changing. Of course, they breathe, they open up. There was a touch of refreshing immediately. Now there is more tropical fruit. Delicate. It's very elegant, but there is a bit of that, which is of course different from Burgundy. In Burgundy, you never have that kind of character. Yes, so far there is little spicy, a bit of creamy, I would say, and Not the mineral, of course, being clay is a bit richer, the wine. Very well balanced on the palate. Nice freshness and minerality, but I think the acidity is not that crazy high. It's a bit creamy also on the palate. Good length. Now a bit more cool notes. I will do both and then the final round because I want them to breathe a bit more. Now a bit of cool from the minerality. So far not changing a lot, so complexity is medium at the moment. Not spicy much, that's a surprise, especially being in small cask. I was expecting a bit more spicy, but it's more the creaminess, maybe used cask I guess. A touch more the spiciness on the tongue when you sip it, but on the nose very little. So elegant, pleasant, easy to drink also, but of course a great match. These are wines with oak, so they need nice seafood dishes or also poultry, things like that. So let's start to see the Terlano. So one important thing, Cantina Terlano, as I hinted, is the most famous for white wines. Now I will explain why. Terlano is DOC, so basically Alto Adige, Terlano, DOC. So it's an extra level that was rewarded to this small area. It's just close to Bolzano when you start to go northwest, and still southwest facing, so the same slope, side of the slope like Haderburg. But there is the volcanic porphyry, all that part of the mountain, and they have vineyard even up to 900 meters. So it's very particular, even compared to all the neighboring area, even Appiano Cornaiano, which is a sort of plateau, there is much more different. So this is a particular place. The story, I know the winemaker, but I met him a long time ago, so we didn't have time to talk about many things. He said that they by mistake forgot one cask in the old days, and in that way they discovered the potential of aging, and then from then they started to make very long aged wines, white wines released 10 years after. Now they are doing, every year there is one wine coming out in this way, so they are developing a lot of that. So they are very famous as really the Burgundy, even if the soil is not Burgundy at all because it's more volcanic, so it's different. Altitude is also very different for the Chardonnay, no? Because the Chardonnay is planted at 250, 350, so just a bit lower than the other one. But the Pinot Noir, I know they have at 500 or even more, so it's very different altitude and soil from Burgundy. But indeed, they're even more, they are focused on white wines. So the specific terroir that they have gave them this extra appellation. So Terlano is mentioned in the label, and they are the symbol there. So they are recognized as the #1 white wines cooperative. Not big, it's just under 50 farmers. They are all like a family, all with a small plot. And of course it's good because they can have different locations also for the different grapes. But as I know, they have most of the grapes all in that area. The first thing here is the mineral, indeed. That is the main characteristic. So even acidity is consequently, there is a lot of quartz also in the soil, and they have more acidity naturally, and then also the altitudes help to have more. Actually, this one, to be only at 300 meters, let's say, has about 6 acidity, which is a lot, honestly. Is already high acidity, and the minerality is marking immediately. Also here there is a bit of tropical, but more delicate than the other one. Touch of spiciness, they use big cask, so same concept, 50% inox, 50% oak, but they do the traditional Alto Adige way, so with big casks. Usually they are used long time, so even more not influencing the wine with the spiciness, but of course still giving a touch, always. It's very elegant, quite good complexity so far. This has a bit more alcohol also. The other being clay. Here on top of the volcanic rock there is sandy mostly, so more elegance usually and less structure. The palate is mineral, good freshness, so it's a bit more vibrant than the other, of course already balanced, even a bit longer than the other. Fruit mostly. Of course, you have the mineral everywhere in this one, more marked than the other. I think is the most characteristic point of the Terlano wines, the pronounced minerality. And very little spice. Creamy also this one a bit, but less than the other. Of course, the other with the smaller cask has a bit more creaminess, is inevitable. So they are very prestigious. They are recognized worldwide. These crazy aging potential, very expensive some wines, but the normal ones are very reasonable. Here we are talking about 20 euros in Italy. This one are really 20, this 22. So very reasonable wines. That is another great value of Alto Adige. Another point that makes it strange that they are not that famous worldwide. Especially the cooperatives can give a better value for money because they have a big size, but the small farmers doing top quality, and so they are able to deliver great quality at a more affordable price because they still make more than 1 million bottles, most of the cooperatives. So let's go for the final round. Yeah, here the tropical is marking clearly. Quite intense actually. So very different from Burgundy. The tropical and the creaminess are the key points. So in a way we can say the area from this tasting, then we will have the Pinot Noirs later on, which will be different wineries. But from the first, the area that is more described as similar to Burgundy is delivering a wine that is less Burgundian, indeed good, very nice. Here instead, even if the soil is different, the altitude is really like in Burgundy, but the soil is different, but can be more comparable. It's of course less spicy than Burgundy because in Burgundy they use barrique, besides New World or no, but they are small. Here is a big cask, so there is less that, but the other characteristics are more similar. The minerality first of all, the elegance, and just a touch of spice which is perfect. So it's keeping it very, very refined. Yeah, balanced, quite round, but still good freshness and minerality. Good depth, more than the other, so it's more complex. Let's say Haderburg, less comparable to Burgundy, medium complexity, nice balance, while Terlano, more complexity, more refinement, balance, but still with good vibrancy and minerality. So it's a bit younger, the evolution, even the color was already hinting that. And as we know, this one is really a result of the terroir. They get more longevity naturally. As I said, also the acidity higher naturally. So even the yields are very low naturally. So all that helps to make age-worthy wines. So first chapter, I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment please, and salute.